shortly after President Biden's virtual meeting with the Chinese president. First Son's attorney said that he has finally divested from a Chinese investment fund controlled by state-owned entities. I was hoping you could commit to basic transparency about that transaction, including the name of the buyer, the dollar amount, and the timing. And the second question is, my colleague Miranda Devine has a new book out called The Laptop from Hell, and I was hoping that you could confirm that the laptop is indeed authentic and not Russian disinformation, as you seemed to suggest on Twitter last year.
On the first, the president's son is not an employee of the federal government, so I'd point you to his representatives. And as it relates to the book, I have neither had the time nor interest in exploring or reading the book. Go ahead, Tina.
The First Son's attorney
Go ahead,
didn't
Tina.
give any
I think I answered your question. Go ahead. You can go to the representative of the person who's not an employee of the federal government. Go ahead, Tina. I think we have to move on.
This is sort of similar to the crime spike that we saw over the summer, and one of the president's biggest pushes to address that was the DOJ strike teams that were sent out to those 5 cities. It was DC, New York, Chicago, LA, and San Francisco. Since those strike forces were assembled in July, have they accomplished anything?
We sent them, the Department of Justice, I should say, sent them in order to work in partnership and in lockstep with law enforcement on the ground. We know that we've seen over the course of time, while we'll let other people determine what the cause and effect is, we know we've seen an increase in crime over the course of the pandemic. We've seen that timeline. What the president's been focused on doing is working to ensure there's funding to support.
Talking about the funding in the Build Back Better plan, then?
The funding in the president's proposed budget, which is an increase significantly over what former President Trump proposed.
So are you saying that passing the spending plan would address crime then, in that way?
Well, I'm saying that passing the president's budget, which is something obviously we want to get to next year, since we could only get to a short-term CR, has significant increase in funding to support police departments, support the fighting of crime, and a significant increase from former President Trump. And
concerned that not having an ATF nominee while all this is going on is somehow leaving vulnerability or a gap in leadership?
Well, I think our collective view here is that the blocking of a fully qualified, experienced former ATF agent from serving in that role certainly is something Republicans didn't have to take the step to do, but here we are. So we have to nominate a new person, and when the president finds the right person, I'm sure he'll be prepared to do that.
Come out after a string of articles detailing dysfunction in the vice president's office. And then the director of operations put out a tweet today talking about how much he loved his job. There was a similar sort of social media push this summer following some negative headlines about ongoings in the vice president's office. Did anybody ask the deputy director to put out a positive tweet today, or was that all him?
I'm not aware of any asks for a positive tweet or a specific tweet. I would point you to the vice president's office, but I work with a number of people in the vice president's office who certainly are looking forward to continuing their jobs. Go ahead.
You mentioned that Biden was obviously deeply involved with the Ukraine in 2014, and I'm wondering if you could talk about what his takeaways are from that experience, because a lot of the things that he's saying this time, supporting NATO allies on the eastern flank, sanctions, those sound like the same things that you guys tried to do in 2014, and it didn't stop Russia from taking Crimea. So why does he think this will be different?
Well, I think first, our objective at this point, Mara, is of course to prevent them from moving forward and to convey on the front end that we have been working in lockstep and in coordination with Congress, with countries, our NATO partners, with transatlantic partners to prepare a range of steps that could be detrimental to their economy.
Why will your efforts this time be more successful than last time? Why do you think they will be?
Well, we will see if they are. But our objective, first and foremost, is to prevent the move forward, the military progression that we saw happen in 2014.
Does the president view the current territorial integrity of Ukraine as a vital national security interest of the United States?
I would say, of course, we view the territorial integrity of Ukraine as a vital interest, global interest for the global community.
So, but if the answer is yes, it means one thing. If the answer is no, it means.
Well, I think you're asking this and sort of you want a yes or no answer, and I would say foreign policy is a little more nuanced than that. So keep going. What's your next question?
Say that the idea that the United States government is going to be able to facilitate lawyers for migrants who want them is an empty promise. What can you say to assure those people that, in fact, you'll live by that commitment?
Well, I would say first to all of these people that it is not our preference to be re-implementing and reinstituting the Migrant Protection Program protocol. We are doing that because of court order and legal requirement to do so, and that we have put in place a number of changes to make from the Department of Homeland Security to improve some humanitarian components, but we still feel that the program is inefficient, inhumane, and we are not. We did not eagerly re-implement it, I should say.